So for this demonstration, we're going to do a shirt for the avatar. I'm going to open up the male avatar that we were using already. So open up avatar and open up that avatar. So once I have the avatar open up, I'm going to use reference for the shirt. It's going to be just a basic t-shirt. It's going to just have a normal trim for the shirt. It's going to be a v-neck with a couple buttons in the middle of the shirt. It's going to be a short sleeve shirt, and this tutorial should be pretty quick and pretty simple. Only one new technique, which I'll show when I do the v-neck area. Other than that, it's a pretty straightforward shirt. So to start off with, I'm going to just draw in the shirt. So I'm just going to start off with a basic size of it, which would go to about there. Let me add a new fabric. So I'll change this to shirt. And I'll change the color to that darker gray color shirt. And I'll add a little specular to it. So for me, for doing a t-shirt, I'll just start off with basic squares. I know where I need to add stuff. So I need a spot for the sleeve, so I'm going to add the vertex right in the middle on both sides. I just put it in the middle because I can move it up from here, so it's symmetry, but it's not. I'm going to move those up, and then I'm going to move these over. I'm using the shadow mesh in the background for a basic size of the shirt. I know I want to pull this in a little bit, so I'm going to pull this in a tiny bit. And then I'm going to add the sleeves, which would be rounded off. And then I need to add the v-neck area. So I'll just add a split in the middle here. Add another split. Add another split. The extra splits are basically where the shoulders will go. And then for the v-neck, I'll just pull this down. I'm going to make this a little bit wider. I'm just getting an approximate of what I want. So that'd be the front of the shirt. I'm going to copy this and mirror it to the back. So I'm going to copy this and mirror paste so it's on the back. Let me turn on my arrangement points. So let me select the back one and select it on the back. Let me select the front and put it on the front. So that's basically what I wanted. Now I could just move this out and move them both down. Turn off the arrangement points and let me stitch stuff in. So the collar into the collar. And then the sides into the sides. Let me select everything and then change the particle distance down to 15 and then 2 and 2 for the collision. That's usually my default go-to. Let me sim it. Okay, so let me save this now since I didn't save it at all, so just have a point of reference. It's a little bit too wide here, even though it is wide traps. I kind of want to make this a little bit tighter, so I'm going to move this over a little bit. And then just pull it up. Let me turn on the tension map viewing, and it's really tight on the upper body. Let me make everything a little bit wider. So for the back, he doesn't need a v-neck in the back, so I'm just going to delete this vert, and I'm going to just curve out this edge just a little bit. About in the middle, and just curve it out. Still a little wide where his v-neck is, so I'm going to move this over still. Just play around with it until you're happy with it. That's good enough for me right now. So now I'm going to make the sleeves. They'll be very quick. I'm just going to draw a square. I usually start everything with a square. And just get the length of the sleeve approximately. So these are the numbers. And then on the bottom right again is the total number of those distance, which is 490. So I want this about 490, which is a little bit big right now. So let me put about 460 just because I'm going to add a curve to this. So that'll be the sleeve. And let me add a vertex right in the middle. So this should add to up to about 490. 559, still a little bit bigger. 520. 496. That's about right. So let me find the sleeve in the 3D view, move it around. And I could sim this on how I would normally do it, or I could use the arrangement points. So for the arrangement points, I'll just select it and just select it on. And then turn off the arrangement points. Select this mesh, and I could change the offset. And then just move it around, just so it's not clipping. I don't need a sleeve that long, so I'm just going to make it shorter. I'm going to stitch the left side into the right side. And I'm also going to stitch in the shirt now. So this side would get stitched into this side. And this inner side to this inner side. And if I sim it, it should just go right on, and it's fine. Right now it's a very tight shirt. I can make it a little bit baggier by just adjusting some of the properties. So let me make it a little bit baggier. Let me move these up too, which will make this area longer. So now it's 525. It's a little bit longer. Let me turn on double sidedness too. Let me make it a little shorter. A little bit baggier. Now it's a little too baggy. So there's a little leeway on there. You could pull it up, move it around. Let me change all this again. Particle distance back to down to 5 and the collision. Let me copy this now and mirror it to the other side, but I'm going to symmetry mirror it. And then I'll stitch it in also. I want the V-neck a little bit lower. So I'll select this vert and move it down. I want this a little bit higher. I'm actually going to select these and move it up. The shirt could be a little bit longer. And now I just want to play with the mesh a little bit just to get some folds on it. So let me save this again. So next thing I want to do is I want to add a trim on the bottom of the shirt sleeve. So let me copy this and just paste it. Slide it down and just delete this vert and then move this down. And then I'm going to stitch this in. Sim it. It's just a subtle trim on the bottom of the shirt. So let me copy this and symmetry paste it onto the other side. And then stitch it in also. Select it and move it over there. And then sim it on. I could add internal lines to do it, but this is another technique to do it. Different ways you could get different results. And let me do a trim on the bottom of the shirt also. This time I'm just going to draw it out. And then stitch this in. And do the same for the back of the shirt. Copy this and paste it. Control C, Control V. And just move this into place and then stitch it in. I'll see where the seam is. So now I could rotate it and move it in. And then stitch the sides in. So let me select everything. The shirt doesn't have enough particle distance. So let me turn it down to 12. That's a little bit better. Since I don't have the pants in the scene right now, I only have the shirt, it could handle a lot more particle distance. So let me save this again. It's always good to just keep saving. Next, I want to add the actual part in the shirt where the buttons would go. So what I would do for this would be add internal lines. So first let me just draw it out. That's a little too wide. Let me just adjust it. Turn off the thickness rendering so I could see it better. That's about right. So what I would do here is cut this. So I have this piece. So let me move this up. Delete this right in the middle. Let me freeze this and hide it. Shift Q. And so I get that. So what I'm going to do is use this piece as the left side of the shirt and the right side of the shirt, because this is how a shirt would be buttoned on. So let me unhide everything. Shift W again. Select this piece. Move it up and over just so I can see it. Unfreeze it. I'm going to simulate it and unsimulate it pretty quickly just so I could see everything. So I have this piece here. So first I'm going to copy this and paste it. Have one to the right. This piece I'll overlay on top. So what I want to do here is first I'm going to add the internal lines just for everything. So I'm going to draw a square here. And then I want 3 buttons basically. This isn't exactly straight, so let me move these up slightly. And 3 spots for the buttons. So let me add 1. Copy that, paste it, and then paste it. So now that I have all these, let me select them all, copy it, and paste it onto the other side. So for the top side, I'm going to cut these out. Just so I know which side is which side, it helps me view. For the side that's going to be on underneath, it'll be on this side, so I'm going to stitch it onto here and the bottom. And then for the one that's on the right side, I'm going to stitch it onto the right side and on the bottom. For the square I added here, this is basically where it would stitch in, so I'm going to just stitch it all in. So after I have it all stitched in, I should be able to simulate it, and it'll go right on. The shirt is a little bit too tight, so I'm going to have to make it a little bit looser on him. So what I'm going to do is just move this out. I'm going to make it a little bit wider also. It needs more space. So what I'm going to do next is stitch these in like the bottom 2 are buttoned in. So I want to stitch the top into that one. And as I do this, I'm going to select this and make sure this is set to layer 1 so this goes on top of everything. I'm going to stitch in both of them now, just so it keeps everything. And now I can select this and turn off the layer back to 0. So for extra details, they would add in a little bit extra stitching. For this, I'll just do that. Just feels like there's stitching on there. And then I want to trim around the shirt. what I want to do actually is delete the stitching because I want to add it so it goes up a little bit higher so the stitching would just weld into here instead of it ending right there. So I'm going to delete these really quick, the right side and the left side, and then just move this up at 2, and then I'm going to free stitch. So the bottom onto the bottom here, and the bottom on the left side, the bottom on the left side here. Now I'm going to add the trim I want to go around the shirt, which is approximately that size. I'm going to stitch this into here, and then the shirt. So let me get the length of this, which is 183. That's about right. And then sim it. It sims on. I'm going to copy this and mirror paste it to the other side and stitch it in too. And just watch the seam lines to see how it works and just try to get them so they're all straight. I'm going to move these down so it's not as harsh of an edge. And now let me add a trim for the back of the shirt. Get the length of this, which is 201. So I can select the polygon tool. I could just click and do 201.66 if I want. And then make it the same height. So select this, stitch it in. And stitch the shirt in. Let me move this to the back. Rotate it so it's facing the right direction. And then stitch in the left side also. His right side. And then sim it. And there we go. So that's a quick shirt. Let me just add some little trims going around the sleeve. So that's pretty easy. I'll just select these lines. And I'll offset an internal line. Let's go by 10. And then offset one more set of internal line by 5. Actually, these I need to reverse when I do it. Let me delete the back ones, the back second ones. Select these, and then do another offset internal line but reverse direction. So let me do the outer ones first. Let me set the fold angle to 360 and the inside ones to 0. Let me choose the inside ones and turn off the fold rendering. I don't want both being folded. So I just want to look like there's a trim on there like I did for the sleeves. If I put on thickness rendering, what I could do also for all these trims, make them a little bit thicker than everything else. It's not going to affect it for ZBrush, not going to affect it for anything else. But in here, you'll see a little bit difference, but that's about it. It's a little thicker. Let me select everything again, put this back down to 12. And that should be it. The back of the shirt is still a little bit, it's really loose, so let me make this a little bit tighter in the back. So now is the time where you could just play with stuff, just get stuff how you want it, looser or tighter, depending where you want everything. Depending where the pants are. When I finally import everything in at the end, I'll put the pants on, and then I'll mess around with all these wrinkles. So right now I don't mind the wrinkles, and I can make them work for whatever I want. Most of this shirt is going to be covered up by a jacket or a hoodie. If this still looks a little too tight to you, probably make the shirt a little bit wider. Let me make the shirt a little bit wider again. And let me select this. Let me select this and change layer 1 because it's going inside again. There we go. Put it back to layer 0. When I put the pants on here, I'm probably going to tuck this in on one side or in the front just so all the wrinkles will get here. Since there's nothing for it to drape on, it's just going to go straight down. That's the basic idea for a shirt. I could add a tag on the back if I wanted, which is very easy detail. You could do it in ZBrush afterwards, so if I wanted to, I could just draw a square. Let me just add on a white material so you could notice it better. And let me draw this down here. And then just draw over it basically. Approximately. Doesn't have to be exact since it's just going to be stitched in. Let me stitch it in. I like to put it placed as close as I can just because if you sim it when it's really far away, it's going to just slap in there really quickly and it's going to interrupt with some other things. Something like this probably wouldn't cause problems, but sometimes some other things do. Let me just sim that on. Let me select this to particle distance 12, rendering thickness, and let me set layer 1 just because it was going inside the shirt. And I set the thickness rendering to too high. Let me center this a little bit better. So if I just wanted a reference guide on where I wanted a tag for ZBrush, that's all this is for me. And there we go. Basic shirt. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. It's very similar to the shirt we did for the female, but on this, it's just a male, and I did a little bit different for the V-neck. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and now we'll go on to another layer on top of the shirt and the pants. Talk to you guys next time. Thanks, everyone.